Hello everyone, welcome to Rachel Pichler Yoga. Just in case we haven't met before, my name is Rachel. Today we are focusing on our feet. So find a little bit of space to move and let's get started. So we are going to start just sitting down. Now, if possible, seated in a way where you can hold on to one of your feet. Now we're going to thread our fingers through between our toes and just kind of create some space between them. If your fingers don't want to go between your toes, you could try to spread them wide without using your hands, but maybe you can slide your fingers between your toes and your palm might be resting nicely on top of the ball of foot. Little hug of the foot. Hold your foot. And just slowly sliding your fingers a little bit more between the toes. And just notice how that feels on your foot. And on the rest of your body in this way that you have to be seated to do this. Little half lotus maybe. And then we are just going to switch sides. So you can find your other foot. You can let your fingers come out and switch. Or spread your toes wide without using your hands, whatever works. Get a little bit weird if you haven't done this before. Give your foot a little bit of a hug. If you've been practicing with me for a while, we're always giving different areas of our body, usually the least expected areas of our body, hugs. So again, maybe your hand sits nicely on the ball of the foot, fingers between the toes, a little bit of a squeeze, a little bit of a hug for the foot. Because our feet hold us up for a lot of the time. So they deserve some attention too. All the while we're here, just let go of your day. Feel the next breath you take and the nice little stretch of the toes. And then we can start to let go. You can take your fingers out, maybe help them come out, and maybe give your knees a little bit of a hug or a squeeze, but we're going to come over onto our knees if you aren't already sitting on them. So starting on the tops of our feet though, so if you can take some weight into the hands for sure, but if you can sit back towards your heels, maybe lifting your hands off of the ground, resting them in the lap. You could also lean back, bring the hands behind you, but we are maybe gonna lift the knees to get into the ankles. To get into the tops of the feet. If you're lucky, you'll feel the shins too, and maybe the rest of the legs, a little bonus. But if you can balance, you might rest your hands in your lap or have your hands on the ground. Just want you to notice how your feet feel here. And then can you relax your face? Can you take a nice smooth breath? Can you pause? Now, if you are leaning back or floating your knees in any sort of way, we're going to bring them back down. You can plant your hands, come off of the feet for a moment. It might feel good to give them a little bit of a shake. Loosen up the ankle. We're going to stay on our knees, but you're just going to rest the left foot in the arch of the right foot. You're going to start to send your hips back towards your heels again, maybe to a point where you sit all the way back, lift the hands, rest the hands in your lap. So the left foot is kind of in the arch of the right one. Find that sweet spot, or maybe it's really easy to find. You could lean back a little if you want more, or maybe sitting tall is great. Maybe you got to move around a little, or again, maybe it's very, very easy to feel that right foot for sure. Just allow your shoulders to fall away from your ear. And maybe let your eyes close too. Try to relax in this potentially uncomfortable, intense place. Let's stay for just another breath or two. And then you can come forwards again. You can come off of the feet. You can give them a little bit of a shake. How does your right foot feel compared to the left? And then switching sides. So rest the right foot in the arch of the left foot. Send the hips back. This is my fun side. It feels twice as more intense than the other side. Probably because I broke my left foot years ago. But try to find that same softness through the rest of the body. Depending on what you're feeling through the feet and the legs. Start with the forehead, start with the jaw. Let the shoulders soften. Breathe smoothly. And stay. Now maybe another breath or two. Sometimes the longer we stay here, the more enjoyable it gets. Sometimes it's the opposite, depends on the day. Bring your hands to the ground though. Come off of your feet, give them a nice little shake. Now I like to bring my knees together, my big toes together. We're going to tuck our toes under though for our lovely toe squats. Don't forget to help the baby toes if they don't get quite tucked under on their own. Send your hips back towards your heels. Feel free to keep some weight in the hands, a little push into the hands. Sometimes gives us a nice stretch through those toes, lengthening through the bottom of them. But same thing with everything else. You might sit all the way back on the heels, rest the hands in your lap. You might even lean back a touch. Find a sweet spot where you get an intense sensation, feeling through those toes. And all you can do is focus on your breath. And the time will go by so much faster. Just another small area of our body that is so important, that feels so much when we do stretch it out, when we focus on it. It's almost an overwhelming sensation sometimes, unless you're one of the lucky ones that doesn't feel this. It's rare, but it has happened with my students before, but very rare, and I am not One of those people. So if you do have your hands lifted, bring them down. Ooh. Come off of those toes, but maybe give them a little bit of a tap against the ground, a little bit of a shake in some way. And then you can sit back down. Now we're just going to try something a little bit different, a little bit weird. We're going to start in butterfly with the soles of the feet coming together. So resting on the edges of the feet, knees out wide. Now maybe this will be as far as you go, but we're just going to try. We're just going to try to lift the knees a little bit and try to plant the feet. So you can kind of scooch the feet around a little bit. You can use your hands on the ground behind you. You might try to snug the hips towards the heels a little bit more, but just trying to encourage the feet down flat and then try to open the knees as well. Now we are getting into our hips here, I know, but maybe also the inner ankle, the feet. You might lean forwards a little bit. You can lift the knees higher and then maybe try to drop them down again. And just see what happens. Nice work, you guys. If you do have those feet flat or halfway there, just bring the soles of the feet back together. The knees out wide, lengthen through your spine. And then we're just going to cross our legs. And if we can bring the right foot on top of the left leg, just to try to stretch the outer edge of the ankle. Now, the closer you bring your foot to your hip crease, the more you might feel that. But anywhere on top of the leg is kind of nice. Where we're just trying to kind of angle the foot so the outer ankle gets a little bit of a stretch. And this also has a lot to do with the hip. And then you can switch sides. So maybe the left foot can come on top of the leg somewhere. And you might be able to move it a little bit or maybe not. But just see. See what happens. See how it feels. And then slowly, slowly, you can uncross your legs again. And maybe give the knees just a hug or a squeeze. Maybe a little tap of the toes against the ground. Awesome practice, you guys. Thank you so much for doing some different things, getting a little bit weird maybe, but so good for our feet, our ankles that hold us up again for the most of the day, most of our lives. So thank you. Until next time, namaste.